Okay folks, in this clip I'm going to teach you how to draw buildings. Great thing about learning to draw buildings is it's basically a great way to understand different design when it comes to shape and perspective. Learning to draw buildings is fairly simple when you think about just practical application. I mean, all it really is drawing building blocks essentially. I mean, obviously you can go into a certain degree of detail with things like windows and other aspects of the drawing, but the real thing that'll sell the look of buildings in relation to each other is the three-dimensional perspective. You want to establish dimensions in such a way that makes the end result very believable. And the way you do that is kind of take the perspective and then gradually try and wrap your mind around the three-dimensional characteristics of them. Like, imagine standing directly in front of a cityscape, what might the buildings actually look like in perspective to where you are? Start by drawing those. Like, even give them a little bit of depth in terms of, alright, so if this building back here is a little bit further away, it might look like that in relation to a building that's, you know, further up on the block. And obviously you are the architect, so feel free to, you know, design your buildings any way you wish. You know, they can be all sorts of shapes and sizes. I mean, don't get too carried away, I guess. But you know what I mean. Now, once you've drawn different types of buildings, obviously you're going to want to go in and add some details to them. I mean, when you're drawing like big skyscrapers or anything like that, it's usually good to add some sort of look or pattern to them. Really establish, I guess, where the windows are for one. Come in here, and a lot of them, simple up and down lines will do the trick, just to kind of establish that there are rows and rows and rows of, you know, windows in there. You could always come across, and this is, I would do this in a lighter, with lighter strokes, just because there's no reason to add a great deal of detail to this unless it's, you know, supposed to be, you're supposed to call a lot of attention to any one particular aspect of the building. Now you could really get in there with a fine-tooth comb and, you know, really add a lot of detail to each and every single window in your building. You can come in and really individually draw each and every one, give them all their distinct looks and so forth. At the end of the day, it's really about your own personal design. So learn the perspective, learn how to see the buildings in front of you, learn how to create dimensionally correct buildings, and then, yeah, become your own little city planner. As you're drawing buildings maybe in the background, draw them a little bit lighter so that if you're drawing a metropolis, it's like you're calling attention to the buildings in the foreground and not the ones in the back. But yeah, that is essentially how you draw buildings.